Hello, sister, and welcome to the Art of Spiritual Living online retreat. My name is Elizabeth Foley. I am an artist and a creative catalyst. I help women get over their creative blocks and get in touch with their inner creative spirit. We are joined today by Sacil Armstrong. She is a creativity and empowerment coach, and we are going to be exploring the world of Zendalas, which is a combination of Zentangles and mandalas. So I'm excited to share more with you about her, but before we dive in, I just want to take a moment so that we can all get really present here together. And I'm going to lead you in a little breath practice, and I have a reading to share. So I'm going to invite you to just close your eyes with me right now and just bring your attention to your breath. Just noticing your breath as it's passing in and out of your body. Noticing your chest as it's rising and falling. Feeling your breath pass in and out of your nostrils. And now noticing anything that's come before this moment, anything that's been weighing on you or that's keeping you from being fully present. Let's take a deep breath in together. And as we exhale, just let that go. And now noticing anything that's coming in the future, anything you're nervous about or anxious about, anything on your to-do list. Let's take a deep breath in together. And as we exhale, just let that go. And now let's take one more deep breath together, just bringing ourselves fully into this moment, right here, right now. And I'm going to invite you to just keep your eyes closed for a moment while I share a reading with you. This is from Tea with the Midnight Muse by Shiloh Sophia, and the reading is called Art as Antidote. You taught me that art was an antidote to violence, showed me how to turn the brush just so as to send prayers to the women in need, showed me how to throw the pot with so much love it could reach all the way to China. When I was being knitted in the womb, you came and drew my mother's hands knitting. You became my father, taking nothing from my father, but expanding the matrix of care I would need. You told me I was an artist, not based on how well I did things. You told me I was an artist despite my complaints and resistance to chop wood, carry water mentoring. You taught me cafe composed of inquiry and imagination that expands the mind and the heart. You showed me how to see what I wasn't seeing by looking where I wasn't looking with eyes I didn't know I had. You gave me so much love that you taught me what love could feel like, be like, should be. Always excited to see me, you taught me gratitude in adversity, the heart of femininity, strength, insight, no apology, standing where no one else was standing. You showed me this. Van Gogh's sunflowers transform pollution. Cassatt's happy babies fight child labor. Beethoven's Ode to Joy lifts depression. Buckminster Fuller's roads prevent accidents. Alice Walker's The Color Purple raises awareness. Rilke's young poet keeps us living the question. Klimt's kiss inspires us to seek that kind of embrace. Rumi's reminder, this is not a caravan of despair, keeps us searching for the beloved. Chopin keeps us in deep listening wonder. Georgia O'Keeffe keeps us looking far inside flower centers for what we aren't seeing. Frida's painted stories invite us to dive into the painful interiors and find the hidden stories. Sue Hoya Seller's angels remind us we are more than we appear, stardust incarnate. Our maestros of the spirit, the artists, the poets, the composers of what is essential in life, show us that we are the antidote to ugliness and violence. Maybe you don't believe me that art is an essential thread in the fabric of the world. I don't care if you believe me or not. This is something I actually know. she taught me. And again, that was called Art as Antidote from Sacil Sophia. So welcome everyone today, and I want to introduce to you Sacil Armstrong. She is a creativity and empowerment coach. She's also a certified Zentangle teacher. She helps people overcome anxiety and fear so they can live from love instead of fear. She combines her love for Zentangle with other forms of art and play and teaches people that we all have a creative side. She's also the administrator of the Meditations for the Resistance Facebook group, where she leads a weekly meditation that helps people involved in the resistance movement and in the forefront of revolution deal with the emotional stress that kind of work can create. So welcome to you, Sacil.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing great, thank you. I'm really excited to dive in today. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about what you have in mind? I know some people might not really know what a Zendala is.
Okay, well, a Zendala is a combination of Zentangle and Mandala. And for people who don't know what Zentangle is, at its core, it is abstract art as meditation. And so you basically use just 5 shapes: a dot, a line, an S, a C, and an orb. And using those 5 shapes, you can create hundreds of different patterns. And the way we use it is just you use a pattern and you fill in a space, and then you fill in another space. And when you're done, you end up with this cool piece of abstract art. As a matter of fact, the piece behind me on the wall is a Zentangle inspired art. I would say it's Zentangle inspired art because it's on a canvas. Pure Zentangle is on a 3.5-inch square tile, and it's just black ink on white paper, so that you don't have to make any decisions except for what pattern are you going to draw, and that's it.
Cool, I like that idea.
Yeah.
So before we dive into that practice, I would love to hear a little bit more from you about how do you make art, and specifically Zentangles, part of your spiritual practice?
Oh my gosh, okay. I use it all the time. I meditate every morning. That's like one of the first things I do when I get up. And on days when I'm having trouble like getting centered and my thoughts are all over the place, I will grab a tile and start tangling, because that's an easy way for me to get into meditation. If I can't still my mind, then I can at least focus on my hands and what I'm doing, and that will get me into that meditative space. And then I love to teach people how to do this, because when somebody says they can't meditate, I say, let me show you how to Zentangle, and then you will know.
Yeah, that's awesome. I can totally relate to that. It can be really hard. Our lives can be so busy and full, and we like show up to sit for meditation, and it's like, our minds are just going crazy. So having a tool like an art practice or a movement practice or something can really help to just quiet that mind and set up that space so that you can go inward.
Yeah, and it works really well for kids too.
Oh yeah.
So working with like elementary, middle school kids, this is like really, really good for them, because they get into it really quickly.
Cool. So what are you going to be guiding us to do today, and what do we need to be able to do it?
All you need is a felt tip pen. If you just have a ballpoint, you can use that, but usually a felt tip pen, and the template. There's a template that you can download, and
yep, and we've got that, everybody, right below the video. Here is the link to the template, so you can go ahead, and if you need to pause the video, you can go ahead and pause that and download that, so you'll be ready to go. And if you're like me and don't have it, I'm gonna try to make it work without the template. So I'll do what I've done, and I want to encourage you to just make it work with whatever you have.
That's the whole point of Zentangle. You just work with what you have and just be in the moment and concentrate on the mark that you're making at the time, and you don't really worry about the outcome. You're going to end up with something cool at the end anyway.
Awesome. So anything else we need to know before we get started?
Well, we're going to do just like you did in the beginning. We're going to pause and take a breath before we get started because I want everybody to focus on what we're about to start. We're going to mark where we are and where we're going. So we're going to pause and take a breath for that. And after that, just have your template and have your pen ready, and that's it.
All right.
It's going
All
to
right.
be really easy and really fun.
Cool. I'm ready. I'm gonna go red today. So.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna flip my camera around so you guys can see my table and see what I'm working on. This is the template that people can download, and it's actually 2 pages. For people who like to work bigger, there's this full-size one, and then for people who like to work smaller, I've got 2 sizes here. One is the size of a regular Zentangle tile, and the other one, the round one, is the size of a Zentangle Zendala tile. So when people download the template, they'll get both. And I'm going to work on a Zendala tile. So a blank one just looks like this, and it's like pretty thick. It's almost like watercolor paper, and it's got the Zentangle logo and stuff on the back. But this is what I'm going to work on. And to get the template on there, I just took some carbon paper and a stylus and just traced the template onto the Zendala tile. And so right now we're just going to do like a quarter of the mandala, and then I'll show you, this is what the completed one looks like.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Thank you. There's several different patterns on this one, but we'll do a quarter so you guys can see how to do all of these different patterns. All right, so before we get started, I'd like everybody to just close their eyes for a second, kind of sit up straight. I want you to take a breath in and just pull yourself back into your body. And then let's just take one more breath and really get centered. All right, and then let's do a third one. And then just exhale. All right, thank you. And so now, hopefully everybody is comfortable with making marks on paper in ink, because we're gonna be bold with our marks. And so hopefully everybody's gonna be comfortable with that. The first shape that we're gonna do is called crescent moon, and it really is just a crescent. And so this is an easy one to get started with. And so we're just gonna do a C shape. And I'm gonna aura that shape or repeat that shape 3 times. So we've got 3 lines. And then we're just gonna start a little bit off to the side and draw another, it ends up looking like a little rainbow. And we're just gonna keep repeating our 3 arcs. And as you're drawing, just make sure you're breathing and just pay attention to the mark that you're making right at the moment. And this focus on the mark that you're making right at the moment is how you get into a meditative state. And you just keep drawing your 3 crescent moons until you fill up one of the petals. Are you with me?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I freehanded a template
Okay, cool.
That's what
All right. Cool, you're with me.
I'm with.
All right, so this one is called Crescent Moon, and this is like one of the easiest patterns because it's just the C shapes. All right, now for the next petal, because you can see on the final one, we've got the crescent moon, and you can see I filled in the black on like the top C, and then have the tweed, and then crescent moon in between. So I'm going to show you one more pattern on the petal next to it. Now for this one, instead of starting at the bottom of the petal, we're going to start at the tip, near the point. And so we're going to start along the line and then just draw a curve and make a little like teardrop shape. And so we're going to start along the edge of the petal and then draw a little curve and then make a teardrop shape.
This one's a little more complicated.
A little bit, but don't stress. Just breathe and just draw your little curve. And one thing about Zentangle is not comparing your work to somebody else's. So you really just breathe into it, just relax into it, and just focus on whatever shape you're drawing at the moment. It's not about drawing a perfect shape. It's about focus and relaxing. And you'll notice my teardrops are not perfect teardrops. So you kind of got the hang of that one?
I think so.
Okay. So now we have two of our big petals completed. And so now we'll work on the two smaller petals in the background. And one of them is super simple. We're just gonna do stripes. And so I'm just gonna start from the point. And I'm just gonna draw an almost straight line, a little bit of curve to it, down to the bottom. And that's all we're gonna do with that one.
That one's easy.
That one's super easy. And then on the other one, we're gonna do a pattern, it's called Tipple, and this is a good filler. And this is just basically drawing a bunch of orbs, which are just imperfect circles. And so you just draw. You're gonna take your time with them so that you actually close up your circle. One thing that I see people do when they first start is they wanna go fast, and then you end up with these little flicks on the end of your circle. But then you're missing the Zen part of the Zentangle. So you just want to take your time and go slow. And then change up your sizes instead of drawing them all the same size. And as you draw, remember to breathe. So how's that one working for you? Pretty good?
Yeah, that one's good.
Okay. All right, so now we've done 4 petals, and we've got a different pattern in each petal. And then we've got these top circles going around. And so we're going to do 2 different patterns so that they'll alternate. And so the first one is called pepper. And I don't know why. But that one is just basically you draw like a curved little V. And I'm going to turn my tile and draw another curved little V so that all of these little curved V's kind of meet in the middle.
All right.
Okay, and then for our second circle, we're going to do one. This pattern I absolutely love. It's called Tripoli, and it's basically drawn a bunch of round corner triangles, and I just really like this one. So we're going to start by tracing along the edge of our circle, and then we'll draw our first triangle. And then right next to it, we're going to draw a line right next, parallel to the one we already drew, and do another rounded triangle. And you'll notice that as I'm working on this, I'm turning my Zendala tile, because it's easier for me to turn the paper to draw my line than it is for me to turn my wrist and hand around. Oops, sorry, hit my phone. So it's easier for me to turn the paper than it is for me to turn my wrist all kinds of ways.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm going to keep doing the parallel line right next to the one that I just made. And I'm going to end up with 6 triangles. Looks like a little pizza. And then this is the basic line art for the Zendala. And then you can go back in and color it in however you want to. And I'll pull the finished one over here. And you can see that with my crescent moons, I ended up coloring the top crescent. And so that's how I got the darkness in here.
Mm-hmm.
With my stripes, I just kind of did a little filling in on the tip to give it a little bit of weight there. And then I did the same thing with the pepper and the Tripoli. I just kind of filled in just the tips, just to give it a little bit of darkness, but not too much so that it wasn't too black.
I can see how it would be really easy to lose yourself in this for a long time.
Yes, and it's really good when like you don't know what to draw. You're somebody who likes to doodle and you never know what to draw. You just draw random shapes. With this, there's actually a process. You have your string, which is the template that I provided right here, and then you have your patterns that are already already there for you. You already know how to draw your patterns. And then you just kind of dive right in and you just fill in each space with a different pattern.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not like you have to think of something to draw. But the cool thing is, since you don't know what it's going to look like when you're finished, because you're just filling in spaces with patterns, you never know what your finished piece is going to look like because you don't plan it. So that's the thing that I like about it. So, you know, you can't really mess it up. You just fill in your patterns. But this would be this, well, not would be, this really is something that you can totally get lost in.
Yeah. So are there other, you said in the beginning that there are 5 shapes that you use in
Yes, there are 5 basic shapes. And I'll flip this over. 5 basic shapes in a Zentangle, and that's a dot, a line, an S. Now that's an S as a shape, not an S as a letter. It's C, which we use for crescent moon, and then an orb, which is just an imperfect circle. And so those are the 5 basic shapes broken down as far as you can break them down. Because like your line, you use that to draw, you know, triangles and squares. That's the basic shape on that is a line. With the S, if you go really shallow, you get like just a wavy line. If you squish it together, you get like a ribbon. And then the same thing with the C. You can go really shallow, or you can squish it and you end up with like a flower petal. And then with the orb, if you squish it, you end up with an, you know, ellipse oval. And so with just these 5 shapes, you can do all kinds of patterns. There's more than 200 like official Zentangle patterns right now. And then there's all kinds of unofficial Zentangle patterns.
Wow, I could just spend a whole morning learning what all those 200 different patterns are.
Oh yeah, yeah. You can actually spend days learning the different patterns. It's really cool. The patterns are 6 steps or less, most of them. They're all abstract, so it's not like you're trying to draw something that you know, like an icon. You're not going to draw a heart or a star. It's going to be some kind of an abstract pattern. So it's just, this is just something that anybody can do. If you can write your name, you can do a Zentangle.
Cool. I love art like that because I hear so often people say, "Oh, I'm not creative," or "I can't draw," and I hate to think that people are putting up that barrier between them and creative expression.
Yes, they do. And that's one thing I challenge people. When people say that, I'm like, you need to take a class with me. I'm going to show you how to do a Zentangle. And I haven't had anybody yet that decided that they can't do it. You know, once they sit down and they really concentrate and get lost in it, then they always end up loving it. And they always say, oh, I didn't know I was an artist.
Yeah. So tell us a couple other things I see between the two. What did you do to bring together that centerpiece?
I did the same pepper that I did on one of the circles. I did the same thing. So you just do like the curved V.
I see.
And you can see all of my curved V's are not exactly the same. So it's not about being perfect. It's just about taking your time and enjoying what you're doing. And then I did the same, just coloring in just the tips, just to add a little bit of weight in the center. And of course, you know, on yours, you can color it in however you want to color it in. You don't have to do it the way I'm doing it.
Yeah, so mine looks very different because I used red.
Oh, cool.
That's what I have so far.
Nice. Oh, you did an awesome job. That looks great.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, this has been really fun. I love this kind of artwork, but I haven't actually ever done a Zentangle before. And I love
Okay.
combining it with the mandala format. I think that's really fun.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I love doing mandalas. I do a lot of Zentangle, but I do the Zendalas more than anything.
And so the basic difference between the Zendala and the Zentangle is just the outer shape, the circularness of it.
Yeah, a regular Zentangle tile is a 3.5 inch square,
Mhm.
and when you do your string, it's I guess it's more random.
Okay,
And so, it's not any particular pattern. And usually when you do a Zendala, it's more symmetrical.
gotcha. Yep, it has
Yeah,
this flower layout like what we're working with.
right,
Gotcha.
right. And
Cool.
so with the a regular Zentangle tile, you can just do all kinds of random stuff and it doesn't have to be symmetrical.
That's nice. It kind of gives another layer of freedom to it.
Hmm.
Sometimes trying to keep up with making it symmetrical can be challenging to our critics.
Yes. Yeah, it sure can. Which is why when I don't know if you notice on this finished one, you'll notice that my crescent moons and my betweeds are not exactly the same. So I have the same pattern, so it's symmetrical that way, but it's not exactly the same number of lines on my betweed or the same number of crescent moons on each petal. I don't get all technical like that with my art
Mm.
because then I wouldn't enjoy it so much. If you just get lost in it, then you're not going to have everything exact.
Yeah, I think that's the key about making this a meditative experience is letting go of what that finished product's going to look like and just really enjoying the moment of it.
Yes, for sure.
Awesome. I love watching you create yours and
Oh, well, thank you.
cool to just see it come to life, you know?
Hmm. Well, looking at it when it's just line art and then looking at it as you add some color and some depth to it, it kind of makes it pop.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like
Yeah.
a totally different piece of art once you start coloring it in.
Yeah, absolutely. Seeing it getting filled in definitely does kind of it gives your eye some depth and some place to go with it.
And you'll notice on this one, I added pencil shading. So once I finished with the pen, I went back and used pencil to shade around the petals and
Okay.
around the center.
I was wondering how you got that gray kind of look. Okay, cool.
Yeah, that was just pencil.
Awesome.
So that's a basic how to do a Zendala. And of course, I have for people who are interested in other templates. I am offering some free ones. If somebody wants to get another template other than this one, I've designed several. So I've got several that people can download if they just want to click the link and then give me their email, then they'll get those sent to them.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Sacil. I want to bring you up so we can see you to say goodbye. So I'm going to pause this here.
Okay.
Thanks so much for providing us those free templates. I'm sure that's going to be lots of fun. I want to encourage everybody
Oh,
to go ahead and click on the link for those. Those are below the video as well. So you can explore and experiment with lots of different Zendala templates. And also I want to encourage everyone to come over and share in our Facebook group. I would love to see what you've created. And
oh yeah.
I know
I
today
would
we just
love
gave
to
you,
see people's creations.
yeah, it's so fun to see how everyone can take the same basic set of instructions and then make something
Mhm.
so different. So it'll be super fun if we can all, get a little vulnerable and share what we created and see all the different things that we can create. And I know today we just gave you a little taste to get started, but really want to
Mhm.
encourage you to take a moment and finish out your drawing and give yourself that chance to really tune inward with this art practice.
Yeah, give yourself a chance to really meditate with it. If you haven't done a drawing meditation before, it's really something to think about and to use, especially when you can't focus just sitting still.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I hope everybody will finish what they started. I'd love to see what everybody ends up with.
Well, thank you so much for being with us today, Sacil. It's been a real pleasure, and I look forward to seeing all the rest of you on our next session. All right, bye
All
now.
right, thanks, Elizabeth. Bye.